Hey guys, hope you all doing well. Today I wanted to talk to you about seed changes in the recent pup that the developers just showed us. If you guys don't have, or if you haven't seen the recent seed changes in the pup, I'll have a link to those in the description. So go check that out. Well, if you haven't seen them. However, if you have, I just wanted to go over my thoughts about all the seed changes, including indirect stuff such as the nerfs to the hand cannoneer and the buffs to the horseman. So we're gonna be going over everything and kind of be giving my views of what I think and if they did a good job. So yeah. Obviously springlords have been changed from anti-siege to anti-melee infantry. This means that we no longer have an anti-siege unit. So springlords have essentially been removed from the game as that kind of unit. They have been, right? Touching on their anti-melee infantry rule is going to be something different, but I want to focus mostly on the anti-siege rule being eliminated. All the siege weapons in this game have had a change to their damage modifiers, or incoming damage. They now take range damage reductions. So Rams and Siege Towers take 95% rage damage reduction. Bombards 85, Trebuchets 8, Mangonels 75. So this just means the implications of this just means that yes, Mangonels, Bombards, even Springalds are going to counter range units, I think. However, um, you still will be able to kill these units with range units, right? A 75% reduction is not 100%. Previously, before, Mangonels, Nestabes were pretty much impossible to kill with any ranged units. The ranged armor made it very, very difficult. Now, it is going to be difficult, but it's not going to be impossible, and the dynamic that will occur will be much more focused on micro, and that is because of this change and this change. So we're going to get into this a little bit more, but the Mega Node no longer predicts the movement, which means you can micro much more against it. And accompanied by the damage reduction change, incoming damage reduction change, micro is going to be much of a bigger thing, which is good. Again, I'm not going to get too much into the Culverin and the Bombard. However, actually, in my testing, Bombard sort of became a Springald in the Imp Age. It actually three-shots a Springald now. The Bombard's damage doesn't count as range damage, I guess. It counts as siege damage, so it doesn't have this modifier to the Bombard. Which actually means the Bombard is going to be able to three-shot the Mangonel without the Siege Works upgrade from the University. So this I'm not sure about. Maybe this is not good for Rampage. We're gonna have to see about that. The Culvin is essentially a Bombard. It actually replaces the Bombard for all of these civs, except for the Malians. They removed it from Malians. So yeah, now fully replaces the Bombard for Achery, Uldo, Abbasid, Arabids. Yeah, so it's just a Bombard, but on different civs. Um, the Springald. So the Springald has been massively reduced in cost. Like this is a massive, massive cost reduction. Um, Health reduction, and it is good versus melee infantry. So obviously, if you play AoE2, I guess this is a lot like a Scorpion. It's even to me just like kind of a Baldaquin in Age 3, which is fine, I guess. It's a little bit odd. I don't think it's gonna have too much impact on the meta. You're gonna see them a little bit more frequently just because of the cost, right? But it's not something that's like it's not highly deadly like a Mega Null. You're gonna be able to micro against this even with ranged units. You're gonna be able to kill these things. So I don't think this is gonna have too much of an impact on the game. So the Mangonel is obviously the biggest thing that's going to be changed in this patch. You have to balance the Mangonel to go alongside with removal of the Springald. And the first thing they did was buff the damage to ranged units. And I think this is good. Just um it's good in a vacuum because this Mangonel should be countering ranged units. Far too often in the previous patch or the current patch, I guess, right? Mangonels, you would just target your Mangonels against the melee infantry, and that was because they still do way too much damage to melee infantry, right? Um, Mangonels should be an anti-ranged unit. They have always had supposed to have had that identity, and this kind of just makes them further have that identity because they really did not need to be so strong against melee units. Hopefully, there's some stuff that nerfs that in here, but this is fine. The range was reduced a little bit. This just makes it a little bit easier to kill them with ranged units if that ever, you know, becomes a reality in your games, which every now and again it should be if you can micro well enough. Aim time is reduced. That's a buff. The wind down time is increased enough to go alongside with the aim time, I guess. So the blast radius is reduced, so that's pretty significant. And the projectile spread is reduced as well. Um, so this is just, well, I guess these things are just making it easier for you to dodge the Mangonel, which, again, micro should be incentivized. Um, I don't see any problems with this, with these changes. Maybe, I think the only problem that may occur is balance-wise, but the ideas behind this is good, right? Mangonel should counter ranged units, it should be killable by ranged units, and you should have the potential to dodge the Mangonel. Far too often in the current patch, you just you just have no way of dealing with the Mangonel because first of all, you can body block the Mangonel, which means you can't kill with melee units often. Second of all, ranged units do 0 damage against the Mangonel. So how are you supposed to kill the Mangonel without massing like 5, 6 Springalds when they start massing this game? So yeah, very good changes, I think. We're gonna have to see about the balance of this, but again, the things that they're incentivizing, micro, um, a more fluid counter system is good. And now I'm just gonna check out some things that have impacts on the siege change, on the siege updates, but they're not telling you directly. And this is something I noticed when talking with the developers. It's just that there's a lot of things in the pup that they've done to walk alongside with their siege changes, and it's kind of nice. It's kind of cute, honestly. Um, the first thing is biology. Cav are getting a buff because biology is getting a buff, so it's going from 20% to 30%. Okay, there's a cost increase, but that's still a buff. Chemistry. Now this is a big one. Um, chemistry no longer applies to Pancanios. It's just gunpowder siege, right? Which is very significant because, as we noted earlier, you are going to be able to kill hand canyons with. So you are going to be able to kill Mangonels with hand canyons, which just means that that is kind of a buff to hand canyons, and you don't want hand canyons to counter mangonels, right? That the entire intended purpose is for a mangonel to counter hand canyons. So because hand canyons can now kill mangonels, they have eliminated chemistry from hand canyons, and this not only does nerfs the hand canyon against siege, it also nerfs the hand canyon against every other unit in the game, right? So something that was highlighted to me was that hand canyons now take 9 shots to kill horsemen instead of 7 shots. I guess also including the biology upgrade, I would assume. But again, that is pretty significant in the late game. I actually touched on this multiple times, and I thought that hand canyons were doing way too much damage to cavalry in the late game. Horsemen in particular, horsemen are supposed to counter hand canyons. They don't counter hand canyons when you just annihilate all of the horsemen before they can even touch your hand canyon, right? This change is gonna obviously nerf that interaction. So I think this is a wonderful change. Um, Siege does have, a buff in the university. That's something that makes them better in the late game as well against hand canyons if that is needed. Instead, hand canyons got a different upgrade, which is Serpentine Powder, and this just makes them good against melee infantry, which is their intended purpose. So I think that's fine. Other than that, we did get a new tech for the ranged units, like archers and stuff, but I don't think you're gonna see archers killing siege anyway, unless you're English. To be fair, I do think this upgrade is kind of bonkers. Having 2 ranged on Rongwomen or Wormgoat Rangers is kind of nuts. So maybe this could be tuned down a little bit, but that's just my initial thoughts on this upgrade. And also, Horseman now does better versus Siege in the late game. So it does more damage to Siege in Castle Age and actually does worse damage against Rams in the Age, which I think is a good change. So those are my thoughts. Again, hard to summarize everything in one sentence, but I think the way the developers have done the siege changes has been very good. They have incentivized micro. They have allowed for siege to have, I mean, a very multi-railed counter system. So siege still hard counters ranged units. However, there is that micro distinction that is going to be going on now, um, on both sides, right? And they have also added some slight changes to the hand canyon and the horseman through other means that makes the late game a lot more interesting, in my opinion, where it's not just like hand canyon mass is unbeatable against mangonels. Horsemen have got noticeably buffed against hand canyons and siege, which hopefully is going to make these interactions a lot better. I mean, obviously this isn't something that we're going to be able to just instantly know within a day or something. It's going to take a long time to understand these changes. However, I am very hopeful about these changes and looking forward to them. And I hope you guys are as well. And I hope you enjoyed the video. So take care. Check you guys out on the next one.